But I think it's probably only appropriate that we go from shipping to harbors. And Ernst Schröder, who's the chief engineer from Bremenports in Germany, is going to describe a proposal about harbors and ports.
Yeah, thank you very much. And gives the chance to stay here and to explain a little bit why we are involved in these Arctic issues. How I can. I'm from Germany. I've studied civil engineering and stay with Bremenports, which I will explain. Since 10 years in the field of port development and coastal protection. Some words about Bremenports, and later on I will come to the point of the green ports or green harbors and the requirements of this. Bremen is a city in the north of Germany, in the center of Europe, in the south of the North Sea, and the second large port in Germany, beside Hamburg, the other German port, and Rotterdam and Antwerp. We are the four biggest ports in Europe, serving more or less the western region of Europe. And there's a specific situation in Bremen that we have two locations, but it's one port. It's the port in the city itself and at the coastline or at the estuary. It was decided 130 years ago to have a location directly at the seaside, to avoid a lot of problems to sailing upstreams. And this shows a picture of the beginning of the container building up the container terminal in the 60s. And today, or in 2006, it was this size of nearly 5 kilometers, which we have expanded the container terminal now with a capacity of 7.5 million container. Besides this, we have in Bremerhaven a huge area you can see on the top picture in the middle, where we can handle cars, and we handle approximately 2 million cars per year. And there's a certain aspect we call this port ABC port. It's A for automobile, C for container, and nearly every banana is also handling this port. On the bottom, the port inside the city of Bremen is more or less a traditional port where we handle approximately 50 million tons per year. And on the right side, that picture shows the old fishery port. Nothing belongs anymore to fishery. You can see that the port is mainly occupied by the windmill production and handling all these parts, especially these very heavy ground structures. Bremenports, or the port in the city of Bremen, belongs to the city of Bremen, which means the infrastructure of the port. It's everything which is marked in blue, the yard area, quay walls, water area, and something like this. And this is managed by Bremenports. We are a private company, but 100% owned by the government. And the superstructure is owned by private companies, which means the cranes and storage facilities and something like this. This is a classical landlord model, which you will find very often worldwide. Our task is a caretaker for the infrastructure. New building activities, supervising, planning, for example, the upper picture shows the site of the new lock, which we finished 2 years ago, or preparing port areas where you can handle this very heavy foundations for the windmill, for the offshore windmills. Besides the new building activities, we are also responsible for the maintenance, maintenance of locks and keyboards. We run the railways. We have our own dredging department, some divers. And also on the left on top, you see a treatment plant for handling the soils, which we dredged in the port, and we have to treat and to use this as raw material later on again. Beside our activities in Bremen itself, we also carry out some projects abroad, mainly in the Near and Far East and some in Africa, and in the future also on Iceland. That's the reason why I'm staying here. Coming back to the topic, at the moment we are perhaps experiencing the first steps of a not necessarily caution development that will significantly change the geopolitical view of our Earth. Whereas in the past technical implementation was regarded as a challenge and formed the focus of our considerations, the answers to the questions of the consequences of technical implementation of the project dominates our action today. One cannot say that humanity was deliberately thoughtless in the treatment of the environment in the past, but thoughtless nevertheless, either primarily for economic reason or because the impacts were not regarded as serious or there was a lack of understanding of the consequences. The lack of this understanding should not be viewed as a reproach. Today we are wiser, of course, thanks to the experience from the past 150 years. In contrast to past generations, those motivations stem from a constant improvement of the respective living conditions. We now have to examine, on the basis of the experience from the past roughly 50 years, the question of the impacts on the future generations. In view of this background, we have to take a close look at the complex interactions between economic and ecological aspects, taking into account the boundary social conditions. To this extent, a holistic view of the life cycle, recyclability of holistic CO2 footprint is gaining increasing acceptance. In addition to these appraisable impacts on the environment, there is also the subjective feeling as to whether impairment is acceptable or not. So acceptance therefore results from one's own circumstances, e.g., the affinity to subjectively perceive impairment. What is presumed as objectively sometimes lets uniform assessment yardsticks fall by the wayside. And as far as the Arctic goes, there are certainly many people who feel concerned even if they live a few thousand kilometers away. At the same time, it has to be emphasized that the primary focus here is on the feeling that we have to react to. This has been an extended introduction that actually formed the core of my lecture and leads to the question what is currently tolerable and how can we manage to agree upon a reasonable, comparable yardstick that is shared by those involved and infected. Green harbors subsume all attempts to minimize impairments of the environment, which incontestably represent the basis of our life. Green harbors definitely does not mean there will be sheet pilings made by renewable raw material or operating areas covered with greenery. the demand on technical solution, e.g. infrastructure, will naturally remain. So this picture doesn't show the reality, as you see. But why we think we are a little bit, why it's meaningful to be involved in the development in the Arctic is our experiences, which we learned during the last 2 decades. You see on this the map of northern Germany, this southern region of the North Sea, and everything which is green is the National Park Wadensee. And this is a very high spot for migration birds coming from the whole, let's say, Arctic region on the way back to the south, or go to the south coming back. And this is very, very valuable for this aspect. And our port, the boundary of our port, ends directly at the beginning of the national park. And so we have to deal with this specific aspects and very, very contradictable things between ecological questions and port development. Some aspects how we try to manage this, for example, professional compensation measures. I will show you this example. It's more than 400 hectares divided in two pieces. One will be flooded every day. We also built up a storm surge on the left side. This is only made for the birds and species which are living, which like this flooded area, and the other part was former farmland. Now it's an extensive use by this water buffalo. These are colleagues of mine, and some other animals. Then we work together with international bodies. We signed this Port Climate Declaration, and we become certification as an eco-port. Why I'm staying here is that there's the idea to build up a port in the northeast of Iceland to serve the oil industry, the mining industry, perhaps as a hub for shipping lines, for container lines, or as rescue port. And therefore, the region in the northeast, especially the Finnafjord, seems to be a very, very meaningful location to build up a port for all these different issues. And we carry out these activities together with EFLA. This is, I'm not sure, the biggest engineering company on Iceland. And they are very familiar with all the topics around this, and we will bring our knowledge into this project based from the experience handling the ecological questions, which we think we are very familiar with. Perhaps you are not merely at the beginning of a new area on the face of geographical shifts, but have reached a point where an assessment and a consideration of environmental relevant aspects are economically measurable. It appears that an awareness of the necessity of minimizing impairments of the natural basis of existence is most pronounced where the economic boundary conditions make it possible for the population to keep control of things and remain capable of taking actions. Here we see an approach for applying our experience in the past 2 decades to the development in the Arctic in order to make a small contribution to finding a balance between economic and ecological interests that will be hopefully be supported on a long-term basis. Okay. Therefore, we need a lot of energy to achieve this, and energy that you are requested to contribute. So, thank you very much.